This program is dedicated to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, past, present, and future. I'm Keith Warren. I'm a hunter.
What do you think of that? Yeah. Woo!
A fisherman.
2 fish on at one time? Oh my gosh!
A conservationist.
Hey, let go of that nipple. You're done. You're finished.
A family man.
Life is good. I love you, baby.
Love you too.
And I'm proud to be a deer farmer. I'm taking a road trip, and we're going behind the scenes of today's most innovative deer farmers and wildlife management operations in North America. This is Deer and Wildlife Stories.
I want y'all to take a look at this deer right here, okay? I want you to tell me how old do you think he is, buddy? Because this deer right here, you know, every deer farm, it seems like, has a deer that's really special. That's kind of the anchor deer. Well, that's this deer right here on this particular deer farm. We're in South Texas. We're about 18 miles or so due west of Freer. This was right down here in the deep South Texas brush country on the 7C's ranch. And this is their deer farm right here. And this particular buck is named Big Boy. Again, take a look at him. Tell me how old do you think he is? Because that buck right there is 10 years old. He's what I would call the anchor buck. You know, a lot of times on our television program, we talk about anchor does and how a deer herd is built, but there are also anchor bucks. And on this particular farm, Big Boy right there is the anchor buck, and he has got the job done. And on today's program, we're going to show you some of the biggest, widest bucks on the planet. What do you say, baby? Good morning.
The 7C's Ranch is located between Ensenada, Texas and Freer, Texas in the South Texas brush country, prestige whitetail deer country. This area is known to raise big deer. The region is perfect terrain for growing native brush that the deer like to eat. The owners of this place are infatuated with the whitetail deer and love to come out and grow big deer and see big deer roaming around in this native, pristine habitat of South Texas. So pretty much from 2001, when the family purchased this place has been intensively managed. We've put in miles of water lines. We've fed the deer cottonseed, protein, pretty much a deer heaven.
The success of the deer herd here at the 7C's Ranch would not be possible without the total commitment from the ranch owner. And he is totally committed to growing the widest deer herd there is. In today's world, with the rapid fragmentation of land, it is refreshing to come to a piece of property that has nearly 50 miles of perimeter fencing that is being managed and protected and set aside for future generations.
There's big deer everywhere now. Everybody's growing giants here, growing giants there. We all have goals. Our goal is width. I want to create a program with wide after wide after wide. Not every deer is going to be pretty to you, pretty to him, pretty to me, but if we grow what you could call an ugly deer or a trashy deer, if he's 30 inches wide, guess what? He just became a deer that I like. Or if he's got short tines and he's 30 inches wide and he's clean, 8 or 9 point frame, because not all of them are going to be big. Guess what? He's wide. We love him now. So that's one goal that here I want to focus on. And last year I stood 7 bucks in the pins that were 30 inches inside or wider. So I'm going to pound those wide pedigrees into my entire operation and see where we go from there and hope it just stays on track, because right now the track record's going strong.
One of the cool things about working on a deer farm is that, especially if you got a family, is that bonding time. It's something special, and words can't describe it. It really is a neat feeling to be able to spend time on a deer farm with your family.
Ultimately, we do this for the family. We do it to get the family out here, enjoy the ranch, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the big bucks walking around. Just like me, I do it with my family. It's hard to find a job and a livelihood like this where you can be with your family every day. There's days where things aren't always great at the deer pens. We're not always cheering and smiling and high-fiving, and Addie and my wife might come down there and they change the whole thing. They make it all worthwhile and they help us to keep going. But to be able to have her out here at any day, at any time, and have her raised around this. It's truly a blessing, and it's like an art form for us ranch and country style type people. So we're so blessed. My name is Shiloh Sosa, and you're watching Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you in part by Bruton Easy Pull Trailers, Deer Guardian Misting Systems, Game Management Software, the North American Deer Farmers Association, Record Rack Deer Feeds, Whitetails Sales and Service, and Newport Labs.
There's no doubt who that is. No doubt about it. Folks, before we show you this deer, I want to tell you a little bit about him. Last year when I came here, out of all the deer on this farm, this deer, you know, is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I have something for this deer. And I look at him this year, and he's even wider than he was last year, but I can tell by looking at him, something happened to him. He had some antler damage or something. First off, that deer right there, his name is Bro, and I don't know how wide he is. Take a look at that deer and tell me, that's one characteristic that you're gonna see on this deer farm. Width is, without a question, width is the hardest thing for deer farmers to get back into their herd. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree.
And
Yes,
you know, I mean, tine length, number of points, all that kind of stuff, that's pretty simple, and most guys have got a lot of that stuff. But you've got something down here, and we're gonna talk about it on today's program, that most people don't have, and that is width. I mean, super width. And so look at Bro. Last year he was wide, but he wasn't near this wide, but obviously something happened to him, because I can tell, look at the antlers. What happened to him?
Well, in the middle of June, you know, right in the middle of when he's just really growing, he busted one of his G2s on his left side, and it caused him to get irritated, and he started messing with it, and he busted his G3 on his left side, and sure enough, he got infected. So we just made a decision, and I knocked him down, and I cut his left G2 off, his left G3 off, and a big extra brow, and he had quite a bit of infection in him, and it pretty much set him back. He hasn't really grown much since. He's grown out more, he's wider. His tines kind of got held at a standstill, but we still love him, and we're still gonna breed him hard. He's probably close to 40 inside.
Yeah.
I'd say he's 38 to 40. He was 32 last year, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Golly, and he's a lot wider than he was last year. Okay, so how old is he now?
4.
Folks, take a look at that. A 4-year-old buck, that big. And I mean, on most deer farms, I want to point this out, most deer farms, they may have one wide deer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not on this deer farm. I mean, this guy right here, there's some kind of magic potion, there's something in the water down here that they've got some really, really wide deer. And so he's a real good one, but we're gonna show you a whole bunch of really good ones. Okay, there's a deer that is in the industry now, everybody's talking about. His name is Witch Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Take me to go see Witch Doctor.
We'll go see the doctor. He's still here.
All right. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so the doctor is in, folks. It's the Witch Doctor. Holy cow, look at him now. And we were out here last year and videoed him as a yearling buck. And how big was he as a yearling?
He was officially scored at 199.
Okay.
199 and 5/8.
and they knew at that point, I mean, anybody could look at that deer at that point, I mean, looking back at that video, that he was gonna really, really be a special buck. But look at him now. I mean, that deer, so how wide do you think he is now?
You know, he was 26 inside last year, and looking at him really hard, I think he's around that 31, 32, at least finish out that way. We're real happy with him. He kept his frame, kept that big, open, wide look. He just kind of got it all where it needs to be.
That deer's not an accident, is the way I look at it. That deer was bred to be that way, wasn't he?
He's bred to be that way.
I look at him, and Witch Doctor is so big. Now, the other bucks in this pen, he just overshadows all these other bucks in the pen, but there's some big bucks in this pen. How old are all these guys?
Everything's a year old in here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We wanted to put him with an age class where he would feel like the dominant guy in the pen.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, most breeders do that.
Right.
Not with all of them I do that, but with him, you know, he was a young buck coming 1 to 2, so when we pulled him off the does, we want to make sure he was in there and felt like the dominant guy. Wasn't going to get pushed around. He's a special deer in our program, and we plan to keep him around a long time.
Think about that, folks. Big Boy is 10 and a half years old now, okay? And he's going to be here, well, he's retired, or just about retired, but he'll stay here for the rest of his life. I mean, he's got it made, but that's an unbelievable deer. Folks, that's the Witch Doctor, and if you see what he looks like at 2, next year at 3, he's going to be absolutely unbelievable. He's unbelievable now.
It's time for viewer feedback, brought to you by the Deer and Wildlife Stories YouTube channel.
Hey Keith, my family has owned several hundred acres that's been high fenced for 30 years in Texas. We love to deer hunt on it, but it appears that we just don't have the right genetics to grow big bucks. My neighbor said that you could advise us on how to grow bigger bucks. Any thoughts would be appreciated. Dale West. Dale, that's a problem on a lot of places in Texas and all over the country, really, that have been high fenced for many years, is that the genetic, well, they're just stagnant. And the way to fix that is by bringing in new genetics, and that can be done simply by contacting a deer farmer. That's what deer farmers, one thing that deer farmers are really good for. If you'd like some help with that, get a hold of me and I can advise you, but that's, if you're having a problem, if you've got a high fence place and you're not growing as big a deer as what you want, and you gotta have the right nutrition and the right age, it's all genetics.
Got a question about deer farming or a comment about the show? I'd love to hear from you. Make sure and shoot me an email, and also watch all of our programs and outtakes as well right here on the Deer and Wildlife Stories YouTube channel.
Deer and Wildlife Stories will be right back.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you in part by buckbreeders.com, DNA Solutions and the North American Deer Registry, New Dart, Shock Effect Probiotics, and Keith Warren's Texas Hidden Springs Ranch, the best value for Texas trophy deer hunting.
The way the insects are controlled here is with the Deer Guardian misting system. You'll notice around the entire perimeter there's a nozzle about every 20 feet. At pre-programmed times, the mister goes off and, well, it gets rid of all the insects. All right, that's blue duck, huh?
Blue duck at 3.
Oh my gosh, 3 years old. Take a look at that, folks. Like I said, I mean, there's just one wide deer after another. I mean, how wide do you think he is? 30?
Yeah, I think he'd be 30 for sure.
Most guys would like to have a 30-inch deer. How many of you have that are in that 30-inch and up? Let's see. I'll hold my fingers up. I mean, you've got a bunch. I mean, that's amazing. Occasionally we'll see some real nice yearlings around here.
Right.
But I want to address, how do you go about grading a yearling and seeing if he's going to turn into something big or not? Because, I mean, a lot of these deer, like blue duck right here, he wasn't giant as a yearling, was he?
No, I think he was 13 inches inside.
Really?
Right.
Okay, so how do you go about judging? I mean, what advice would you give? Just time, weight?
If big boy's in the anchor. No, I really don't. I don't judge the yearlings. I like to see a pretty yearling, but it don't matter to me. Bro was 12 inches inside, you know, and he's about 40 this year, like we said. We looked at him. I look at a yearling and just, I like to see good looking yearlings, but at the end of the day, when I cut all their horns off or they fall off, they're a whole different deer the next year. So we just try to keep them healthy and fed right and just go from one year to the next and watch them progress. And I haven't found a magic in the yearling yet. It's good to see a good yearling, but it don't matter. It don't mean anything.
Yeah, but
Not
Witch
here.
Doctor is an exception.
Witch Doctor was an exception. You know, he was wide. We knew he had the big frame, and of course he continued the big frame. The thing with him, we wondered if he was gonna just go real non-typical. Well, he maintained a good typical look, so we're ecstatic with him.
Yeah, but at 3 years old, this is a beautiful deer. Blue duck, that's kind of an unusual name. Remember that, blue duck. Okay, that deer right there, folks, that's Bushwhacker.
Bushwhacker.
And he's a 3-year-old right here.
3-year-old.
Tell him about when he was 2, what went on and how big he really is.
Well, at 2, he, as you know, when y'all came last year, he was already cut off. But he did the same thing, bumped one side, got a little infection. When we cut him off, he was 37.5 inside. He was the state record for sure last year. And up until this point, he's the widest deer in Texas. There's a couple wide deer out there until we get them on the ground and measure them. We're kind of duking it out. But he's impressive to us either way, whether he's 30 inside or 80.
I mean, he's huge. Look how big that deer is. I mean, he's beautiful, the way he lays out like that.
Yeah, and you know, and he's got pretty beams that come around. His tines are deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't usually see a 38-inch or so buck. It has really long tines, but they're longer than you think.
And he's got a great disposition.
He's one of those easy keepers too, you know, throw him in a pen and let him have his girls and some treats, and he does well.
Okay, now, I've been around on different farms, and the barns you'll wind up seeing their breeding list, who they're bred who with and all. And I keep seeing Bushwhacker, his name come up. I'll actually see Witch Doctor's name come up. And these are farms up north. So you're selling semen to guys up north, right?
Yes, sir. Right now, the northern industry is really looking to Texas, and I think a lot of that's the hybrid vigor and the width. The guys in the north are ahead of us. They've been breeding those pedigrees and line breeding longer than the Texas guys, than most Texas guys. Right now, they're trying to catch up on our width. Texas just has the width that the north doesn't have yet. There's a lot of majorly wide deer in the north, but there's so many more consistently wide deer in Texas. So right now, those guys are looking to us to pull the width into the herd and kind of clean up some of those typical frames. So I encourage anybody from Mexico to the north to Texas, wherever, come out and see them. There's no effect like the real thing. I encourage y'all to give me a call, come out, we'll feed you right, show you the place. I love looking at the deer with anybody. It's hard to get people pulled out here because we are in the middle of nowhere. If we can just plan it, I'd love to have anybody. You're more than welcome.
Okay, give them a phone number.
Our number is 956-418-8326.
All right, let's go see some pedigrees. I want to see the pedigree on Bushwhacker.
Okay, so one of the main tools we use here is the DNA registry, NADAR. What this does is it guarantees me the lineage of the sire and dam. With the DNA, it's proven to be a definite match. This is Bushwhacker's DNA certificate. At the time I got this done, he was just a fawn, so he's just got a tag number. And you can notice it's not real deep down on the bottom side. Well, since then, we've tracked him back a little further and gone a little deeper. And we've got some deer, like Whitetail, who has DNA going way back. Another great tool we use, same essence, more records, is GMS software. And these are just two great tools we have in the deer industry. They allow us to keep up with the dose production, the width production, her offspring, the amount, how many times she's taken. The list of records goes on and on and on. I've got almost 2,000 deer in that registry, so it helps me keep it all in one place at just a click of a button.
One of the most difficult things to change in any deer herd is to manipulate the spread, to make the spread bigger. And the benchmark used to be 28 inches. I mean, having a 28-inch wide deer in your deer herd was incredible. But then all of a sudden, some people started accomplishing that. There are a few of them out there. And all of a sudden, so they raised the benchmark to 30 inches. And to get a whitetail deer that's 30 inches, that was just unbelievable. But now the benchmark has got to be around 40 inches. I mean, take a look at some of these super wide deer and you'll have to agree, Shiloh Sosa has done a remarkable job creating super wide whitetails. Best part of it is that Shiloh can help other people get width in their deer herds too. All right, this is the 3-year-old pen, and when you take a look at these deer in here, there are a bunch of great big ones, but you know, we talked about earlier in the program a deer by the name of Big Boy, and we showed him to you, 10.5 years old. Out of all the deer in this pen, that is the widest one. That's a 3-year-old buck right there. And he is out of a Big Boy daughter. And so when you take a look, like I said, it goes back, Big Boy's an anchor. I mean, Big Boy may not be as impressive today as what some people may want to see, but in reality, that doesn't matter, because that right there, what you're looking at, that's what matters. That's reality. That's what he throws. And so Big Boy gets the job done. Some of the leading deer farms are successful because, yeah, they're doing things right, but it's because they've been doing things longer than just about anybody else. Well, I look at Shiloh Sosa, and he's one of those guys that, yep, he's doing it right. And although he's a young man, he obviously has a knack at creating the widest deer herd in the country.
I get asked a lot, do I sell deer? No, we don't sell many deer, but I do sell semen. Everybody's got a demand and wanting width. So we decided we were gonna put our deer on the market them, push them, and try to get our width in other people's herds and help them grow width. We've got semen out of Bushwhacker. He's approaching 40 inches this year. We've got semen out of Whitetail. He'll be over 30 this year. We've got semen out of Bro. He's gonna be scaring 40 inches this year. We've always got Big Boy. He's throwing the width like crazy, especially in his girls. And we've got semen out of Blue Duck, who was 31 inside last year. And there's quite a few other bucks out there that are 30 inches wide or wider, and some bucks that are just big and pretty. We have semen out of all kind of bucks. So if you wanna come on out, check them out, look at them, give me a call. If you come buy some semen with us or anything you do with us, just remember we're always going to take care of you. There's situations out there where you might not get a doe bred or you might not be happy. We'll make it right. So we've got lots to offer, and I want to make you happy, and I want to grow big deer on your place just like I want to grow them here. So if you'd like to come out and see the 7C's boys, just give me a call. Come on out, we'll line it up. Chris and Addie and I will show you around, and you'll get to see what we do every day for a living, and I think you'll be impressed. My number is 956-418-8326.
If you're looking to put width in your deer herd, I don't know of a better guy to put you in touch with than Shiloh Sosa. He doesn't have just one deer that is absolutely tremendously wide. He's got a whole bunch of them, and I encourage you to come on down here and take a look for yourself. You will not believe your eyes. Contact Shiloh, and like I said, he'll be happy to take care of you. If you'd like to watch full episodes of our program 24/7 online in full high definition, log on to my website at deerandwildlifestories.com. There you'll find the shows, but you'll also find a lot of outtakes and behind the scenes videos as well. That's deerandwildlifestories.com. Reproductive services for Deer and Wildlife Stories is provided by Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics.